Well, welcome everybody to our online program from the Sunshine Coast Health Center up here in Powell River, BC. And we've been talking about attitude because in a lot of treatment programs, they make this comment like attitude is everything. And we're just trying to put some details to this idea of attitude. So we've talked about Carol Dweck's work and her research that showed that having a growth mindset, this belief that if you overcome challenges, if you don't give up, if you're willing to accept positive criticism, this will help you live a more full life. And we also talked about barfly, and one of barfly's big points that he's telling us is that if you want to succeed in life, you need endurance. You need to be able to fight through the tough times in order to believe in yourself. You have to be able to fight against social opinion if that's what your belief is. Okay. And of course, Viktor Frankl talked about attitude a great deal in his work. In Man's Search for Meaning in the concentration camps, he noticed that if the prisoners of war had this attitude, then they would survive the death camps, as long as they weren't shot or anything like that. And he talked about people who didn't have this particular attitude, and what happened to them is they fell victim to their environment and eventually would pass away from dysentery or some kind of physical ailment. But basically, he said what they did is they gave up. They weren't willing to fight through the tough times because they really believed themselves to be complete victims. And the people who survived the camps, they had this different attitude. They said, I'm going to get out of here and because I have things to do. And maybe I have to, be there for my grandkids or my kids, or I have to do something for the world. But there was something in the future that they had to work through and create and give back to the world. And so they had this special attitude, which Frankl said was the defiant human spirit. But it was an attitude of I got to fight through the tough times in order to achieve something that awaited in the future. There was something I had to do in my life. And that was my mission, and I was going to do that no matter what. And he said in the Nazi death camps, he said, even though you have no other freedoms, you still have one freedom left, and that is the freedom to choose the attitude that you will take towards suffering. And Frankl always talked about facing suffering with dignity and responsibility. And these ideas are very important to recovery because a lot of people with addictions are suffering horribly in their life. And how do you get the right attitude? How do you face that suffering with dignity and with responsibility? And so Frankl's point is that really this is part of what it means to be human. And all of us have it within ourselves. We just have to dig deep inside and find it. So here's a third person now, Viktor Frankl, who's talked about the importance of attitude. And his version is as a human freedom, but also as a key piece that will allow you to survive even Nazi death camps. Anyway, that's it for this online program, and we'll be back next time with our final topic on attitude.